Today, we are examining an interesting report that has generated discussion among Iraqi Dinar followers, particularly those who closely monitor developments involving currency exchange services and banking technology. As always, our goal is to separate observable facts from speculation and provide a balanced analysis of what this information may, and just as importantly may not, indicate for the Iraqi dinar and Iraq's broader financial system. The report comes from Frank 26, who shared an experience involving a currency exchange center at a Florida airport. According to the account, while visiting one of the exchange counters, he asked whether Iraqi dinar was available for purchase and discussed with an employee how the business verifies the authenticity of foreign banknotes. During the conversation, attention was drawn to several recently installed LaRue machines, which were reportedly described as advanced bank-grade counterfeit detection systems, capable of verifying Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong through multiple authentication technologies, including infrared sensors, red light scanning, and raised surface detection. Before analyzing what this could mean, it is important to distinguish between confirmed observations and interpretations. If an exchange location has installed newer authentication equipment, that is an observable operational change. However, the reasons behind such an upgrade cannot automatically be assumed. Financial institutions and licensed exchange businesses regularly modernize their equipment for a variety of reasons, including compliance with updated security standards, improved counterfeit detection, faster transaction processing, support for additional currencies, or routine replacement of older hardware. This distinction matters because the foreign exchange industry is constantly adapting to changing security requirements. Currency authentication technology evolves alongside banknote security features. Manufacturers such as LaRue have spent decades developing increasingly sophisticated systems capable of recognizing complex anti-counterfeiting measures incorporated into modern banknotes around the world. The mention of LaRue is particularly interesting because the company has long been recognized internationally for its expertise in currency technology, security printing, authentication equipment, and cash processing systems. Banks, central banks, commercial cash centers, and currency exchange businesses around the world rely on advanced authentication equipment to minimize counterfeit risks and improve operational efficiency. These systems typically analyze numerous characteristics simultaneously, rather than relying on a single feature. Modern bank-grade authentication machines can examine infrared characteristics, ultraviolet responses, magnetic ink properties, optical signatures, paper quality, note dimensions, thickness, density, serial number recognition, and numerous other security markers depending on the currency being processed. When discussing Iraqi dinar specifically, authentication becomes especially important because higher denomination notes, including the widely recognized 25,000 dinar note, represent significant value within Iraq's domestic economy. Exchange businesses handling foreign currency naturally seek equipment capable of identifying genuine notes quickly while rejecting counterfeit or damaged bills. The report also mentions Vietnamese dong alongside Iraqi dinar. This detail deserves attention because it suggests the equipment may simply support multiple international currencies rather than being dedicated exclusively to one particular currency. Modern authentication platforms are frequently designed to recognize dozens or even hundreds of currencies through software updates and configuration databases. That means seeing Iraqi dinar included among supported currencies does not necessarily represent a new development. Instead, it may indicate that the exchange business processes sufficient volumes of various international currencies to justify investing in advanced multi-currency authentication systems. Another important consideration involves airport exchange centers themselves. International airports serve travelers from virtually every region of the world. Unlike smaller neighborhood exchange offices, airport currency exchanges often encounter a much broader range of foreign currencies because international travelers may arrive carrying banknotes from numerous countries. As a result, airport exchange businesses typically require versatile equipment capable of authenticating many different currencies efficiently. Installing modern machines therefore fits naturally within the operational requirements of international travel hubs. One statement in the report that has attracted attention is the employee's description that these machines were specifically meant for Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong. Without official documentation from the equipment manufacturer or the exchange company itself, it is difficult to determine whether this statement referred to dedicated programming, recently added software profiles, or simply examples of currencies supported by the system. In banking operations, employees often describe equipment using simplified language for customers rather than technical terminology. Therefore, while the comment is certainly noteworthy, it should not automatically be interpreted as evidence of broader financial developments occurring behind the scenes. For Iraqi Dinar followers, the larger question naturally becomes whether improved authentication technology at exchange locations has any relationship to Iraq's currency reforms or future monetary developments. From an analytical standpoint, the answer requires caution. Authentication technology and monetary policy are two different areas of financial infrastructure. Currency authentication focuses primarily on verifying whether physical banknotes are genuine. Monetary policy, by contrast, involves decisions made by the Central Bank of Iraq regarding exchange rate management, inflation control, reserve policy, liquidity, banking reform, financial stability, and broader macroeconomic objectives. Although both areas involve currency, one does not necessarily signal changes in the other. That said, modern financial infrastructure does play an important supporting role within any developing banking system. As Iraq continues modernizing its banking sector, increasing electronic payments, improving anti-money laundering compliance, strengthening international banking relationships, and expanding financial transparency, reliable authentication systems become increasingly valuable throughout the global banking network. International institutions prefer dealing with currencies supported by robust verification standards because accurate authentication reduces operational risk. Therefore, improvements in authentication technology around the world can be viewed as part of broader financial infrastructure rather than direct evidence of exchange rate changes. Another aspect worth discussing is counterfeit prevention. Counterfeit currency creates financial losses for businesses, damages public confidence, increases operational costs, and complicates international transactions. Banks invest heavily in detection technologies because preventing counterfeit circulation ultimately protects customers and preserves confidence in cash transactions. For Iraqi dinar, maintaining confidence in genuine banknotes is particularly important as Iraq continues strengthening its domestic financial system. Every improvement in verification capability helps reduce fraud risks and supports more efficient cash handling. The report also notes that older machines had apparently been replaced with newer equipment. Technology upgrades are common across financial institutions. Newer models generally process notes faster, recognize additional security features, require less maintenance, and receive updated software supporting newly issued banknotes or revised security standards. Financial businesses routinely replace equipment as part of normal capital investment cycles. Therefore, the presence of newer machines alone should not be interpreted as extraordinary. However, it does demonstrate that licensed exchange businesses continue investing in operational capability. For observers of Iraq's economy, this serves as a reminder that international financial infrastructure supporting foreign currency exchange continues evolving. From a short-term perspective, what practical implications does this report have? The immediate impact appears limited. There has been no official announcement from the Central Bank of Iraq regarding exchange rate policy based on this observation. There has been no confirmed policy change affecting Iraqi dinar valuation. There has been no verified indication that authentication equipment installations represent preparations for imminent monetary adjustments. Therefore, responsible analysis suggests viewing this primarily as an operational observation rather than a monetary policy signal. Nevertheless, Iraqi dinar followers often pay close attention to infrastructure developments because financial systems operate through many interconnected components: cash authentication, payment systems, banking software, compliance procedures, correspondent banking relationships, anti-money laundering frameworks, and regulatory oversight. All contribute to building a stronger financial environment over time. Long-term economic development depends on strengthening each of these components, rather than relying upon any single event. Looking further ahead, Iraq continues pursuing broader financial reforms aimed at improving banking efficiency, expanding financial inclusion, modernizing payment systems, encouraging electronic transactions, and attracting greater foreign investment. These initiatives are considerably more significant than any individual equipment upgrade observed at a private exchange location. Economic strength ultimately depends upon productivity, investment, diversified government revenue, stable inflation, sound fiscal management, and confidence in financial institutions. Technology supports those goals, but it does not replace them. Another reason this story has generated attention involves public psychology. Financial markets often react not only to official announcements but also to perceptions. When observers notice operational changes involving banks or exchange businesses, many naturally wonder whether those changes signal something larger occurring behind the scenes. History demonstrates that sometimes infrastructure improvements do precede broader reforms. At other times, they simply reflect routine business upgrades with no wider significance. The challenge for responsible analysis is avoiding conclusions that extend beyond available evidence. That is especially important within the Iraqi dinar community, where rumors frequently circulate online. Responsible reporting requires distinguishing between documented observations and assumptions. In this case, the documented observation is the presence of newer authentication equipment. Anything beyond that enters the realm of interpretation. One particularly interesting detail concerns the sophistication of the technology described. Advanced authentication systems increasingly rely upon multi-sensor verification rather than single-feature analysis. This layered approach significantly improves accuracy because counterfeiters may imitate one security characteristic while failing others. Combining optical scanning, infrared detection, magnetic analysis, dimensional measurement, and surface recognition produces much stronger authentication confidence. Financial institutions value this approach because it reduces both counterfeit acceptance and false rejection of genuine notes. As international travel continues recovering and cross-border financial activity expands, exchange businesses face increasing pressure to process transactions efficiently while maintaining strict security standards. Investments in newer authentication equipment therefore align with broader industry trends. For Iraq itself, international confidence develops gradually through institutional improvements rather than isolated headlines. Progress in banking supervision, regulatory consistency, digital payment adoption, reserve management, correspondent banking relationships, and financial transparency collectively influence how international markets view the country's financial system. Currency stability ultimately reflects confidence in economic fundamentals. Those fundamentals include fiscal discipline, diversified economic growth, political stability, banking resilience, energy revenues, investment conditions, and effective monetary management. Equipment upgrades abroad neither determine nor replace these broader macroeconomic drivers. For viewers following Iraqi dinar developments, patience remains one of the most valuable qualities. Financial reforms typically unfold over extended periods rather than overnight. Major banking transformations involve legislation, regulatory implementation, technological integration, institutional training, international cooperation, and ongoing evaluation. Each step contributes incrementally toward a stronger financial system. Another point worth mentioning is that authentication technology benefits consumers directly. Individuals exchanging legitimate foreign currency gain greater confidence, knowing professional-grade verification systems help ensure accurate processing. Businesses also benefit through reduced fraud exposure and faster transaction times. These operational improvements enhance overall customer experience, regardless of whether any broader monetary developments occur. Some viewers may ask whether seeing Iraqi dinar available at certain exchange centers is itself significant. Licensed exchange businesses typically decide which currencies to stock based upon customer demand, supplier availability, operational costs, and commercial considerations. Availability therefore reflects business decisions rather than official monetary policy. Different exchange companies may offer different currency selections, depending upon their customer base and transaction volumes. The report noted that only a limited number of locations reportedly carried Iraqi dinar. That observation highlights how specialized certain foreign currencies remain outside their home markets. Exchange businesses continuously evaluate whether demand justifies maintaining inventory. Improved authentication capabilities can make processing less common currencies more efficient. But inventory decisions remain commercial choices. For long-term followers of Iraq's economy, the broader story continues focusing on structural reforms. Key developments include banking modernization, digital transformation, enhanced regulatory frameworks, efforts to increase private sector participation, infrastructure investment, diversification beyond oil revenues, and continued cooperation with international financial organizations. These structural factors possess far greater influence over Iraq's long-term economic trajectory than isolated observations involving equipment at individual exchange counters. As analysts, it is also important to recognize the value of first-hand observations while maintaining appropriate caution. Personal observations can sometimes highlight interesting developments, deserving further attention. However, they represent only one piece of information. Reliable conclusions emerge when multiple independent sources, official announcements, institutional data, and observable policy actions align consistently. Until that broader confirmation exists, balanced analysis remains the most responsible approach. Ultimately, the report illustrates how closely many Iraqi dinar followers monitor every aspect of the international currency ecosystem. Whether discussing exchange centers, authentication machines, banking technology, or payment infrastructure, each observation contributes to ongoing conversations surrounding Iraq's financial development. The key is interpreting those observations within their proper context. Based on the available information, the reported installation of newer LaRue authentication equipment appears consistent with ongoing technological modernization within the currency exchange industry. It demonstrates the continuing importance of secure currency verification and highlights the professional standards expected in licensed foreign exchange operations. At the same time, there is currently no confirmed evidence that these equipment upgrades represent official changes to Iraqi monetary policy or provide confirmation of future exchange rate decisions. As always, the most meaningful indicators for Iraqi dinar followers remain official communications from the Central Bank of Iraq, government economic reforms, banking sector modernization, macroeconomic performance, reserve management, inflation trends, fiscal policy, and verified regulatory developments. Those are the factors that shape the long-term outlook for Iraq's financial system and provide the strongest foundation for informed analysis. Thank you for watching today's update. If you appreciate responsible, factual, and balanced coverage of Iraqi dinar developments and Iraq's economy, please subscribe to the channel and like the video so you don't miss future updates. We remain committed to analyzing verified information with a professional and objective approach. As always, this content is provided for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered financial, investment, or trading advice.